Once again, it is time to huddle up at the weekly Huddle podcast because, as you know by this point, draft season never stops, and neither do we. Newt Westen joining you for yet again another summer scouting positional ranking. We're starting to get to the downhill of our rankings. At this point, we've got training camps starting up in the NFL. We've got college teams starting to get their training camps in order, and that buzz of football is in the air. So we can definitely feel summer kind of maybe coming to a close. For some, that's not a good thing. Others, excited to see that football season come back upon us. But that does also mean that we're kind of getting to the end of this series. So today we are hitting our edge class. I got a chance to look at 12 edge rushers for this. I'm going to talk about my top 10 extensively, I guess a little bit. But I will mention I did get a chance to watch Derek Moore. He came in at number 12 for me. He's, in my opinion, a DPR. I think he's got a lot of really good traits that he brings. I'm excited to see him in a system that no longer features Josiah Stewart, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant. I think that's going to be a really good opportunity for him. Number 11 was Tyreek Sapp for me. He comes in. He had a tremendous season, especially as far as some of the analytics and stats that came out. If you look at PFF, he had a elite score of 90. Some of the things I didn't see necessarily translate to the film. I'm looking to see if he can replicate that performance and be a little bit more dominant. But those are two players that were just outside of my top 10. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it as we get the ball rolling. Number 10, Mateo Galele. I said it wrong. I apologize. So this was a player for me. I was actually quite surprised that he ended up at 10. I was almost worried he wasn't going to make the top 10. I saw him a lot last year taking reps against some of the offensive tackles that I would watch, and he always seemed to really flash to me. I was never extensively scouting him, but he's a player that really seemed to pop to me. And for him, I did like a lot of the things that he brought, especially his tenacity in pass rush. I think that's one of the biggest things that he has going for him early on. I think that he wins a lot off of some pretty good athleticism. He's got some decent speed within there, and he's got an extremely high motor. I think that all of those things really play well to his game in the brand of football, which is hey, I'm just going to work harder than you kind of game. He's also got a pretty good frame on him, 6'5", 270. So all of those things, they factor into, in my opinion, the tools that you want for a football player. Right now, it's a lot of tools to me. I want to see from him a little bit of growth in his pass rush plan. I think it's very raw right now. As I said, he's an athletic player. He's got some speed to him, but it's just too heavily reliant on that. He has to develop a counter. He has to develop hand technique where he's getting his hands in a proper placement to keep blockers off of him. So all of those things kind of go into him being down here. With me having him here, I don't think that he's, maybe necessarily like the 10th ranked final player in the edge group. I think because he is only a true junior. I was watching true sophomore tape, which is really impressive to see what he did. He's got a ton of room to grow, and he still last year was able to earn a good amount of recognition. He ended up second team All Big Ten via the coaches voting, and really with the removal now of the Abdul Carters, the JTTs, the Jack Sawyers from the Big Ten, I think he's got a really good opportunity to shine in that system. So Teo Galele, a player that I think has a really high ceiling, but just has to do a lot of things to start to put it together. Coming in then at number 9, we have another Big Ten edge rusher, a player that had a monster season last year, Mikal Kamara. So Mikal Kamara's got a pretty unique background. He's actually a 0-star recruit, which I always gravitate towards these guys. I think that they're really fun stories, especially a player that has shown the ability to face adversity. And I think Kamara has done a really good job of that. So he spent 4 years at James Madison University before transferring to Indiana ahead of last season. So last season he did play at Indiana. With last season, went out, did what he needed to do, earned actually first team All Big Ten honors, which is phenomenal. Once again, the guys that I just listed off all being top 50 picks, and Kamara was able to earn all Big Ten honors within that group. He, before then, in those 4 seasons that he spent at James Madison University, he had an extensive amount of injury. So he came in starting off as a 0-star recruit. He was an immediate starter. In fact, of the games that he's played in his entire collegiate career, he's only not started one of those games, but he missed a little bit of 2020 due to injury. He then missed all of 2021 due to injury, and he missed 7 games in 2022 due to injury. So he had the COVID year in 2020, redshirted in 2021. So really his first year of eligibility kind of kicks in that 2022 season, where it's actually his 3rd year of college. So he comes in as a 6-year senior. He's a little bit older. He's got a ton of reps under his belt. 1,800 career reps as a edge rusher is an enormous amount, and it shows. He, of all the players on this list, led with 68 total pressures, an absolutely insane number when you see what he's able to do. Now, with that, I think that he is probably doing everything that he can to kind of soak up that 6 years that he spent in college. He's definitely the most mature player in this group. He's a really high IQ, and he just has a lot of things figured out. But I think that he's got them almost figured out to a point where he's a pretty high floor player, but I don't know how much of a ceiling he has. He's got a motor that is never ending. He's got a really dense build, and he has some quick twitch off the line paired with strong hands. But he's athletically a little limited. He's 6'1", 265. So he's got a dense build, but he's got some length concerns there. His athleticism is okay. It's not necessarily like, wow. And so with that, the lack of length, the decent but not phenomenal athleticism, kind of wonder how much more this guy has left to give. Not that I'm, crashing on him and saying that, he's not worth drafting. He's giving you a really, really safe option in terms of a edge rusher that is really experienced in pass rush and has some pretty decent chops in the run game. You can get what is a pretty tenured NFL vet out of Kamara. You're never going to get, in my opinion, an absolute stud or superstar, but you're going to get a guy that is someone that you can rely on year in and year out to press the passer and to hold up well enough in kind of the normal everyday or every down of the game. A couple things that I'd like to see him work on this year: converting more pressures into sacks. Like I said, he had 68 pressures last year. He had a true win rate of 26.3, over a quarter of the pass rush attempts that he had on a true pass rush opportunity. He won the rep, which is a really, really good number to look at. Anytime you're above 20, I like that. If you are above 25 and even 30, you're starting to flirt with some really good numbers. So he's great there, but I want to see him convert more of those pressures, the 68 pressures, into sacks. He had 10 sacks from there. An okay number. I'd like to see it a little bit more. The injury history is obviously going to be extensive, that paired with the age coming in at his 6th season. I think that just there's kind of some things around there that kind of make you wonder, okay, can you stay healthy this entire year? Can you turn some of those pressures into sacks or some more pressures into sacks? And then can you do just those little things to continue to clean up your technique, clean up your game? So Mikel Kamara out of Indiana comes in here at number 9 for me out of Indiana. So going on to number 8, we have David Bailey, who is probably going to be most well known for going into the season by, I believe, being the only or one of the only edge defenders in college football last year to have a higher pass rush win rate than Josiah Stewart. So going back to that number, Josiah Stewart last year had a 40% pass rush win rate, which is a ludicrous number. David Bailey had a 46.5% true pass rush win rate, meaning almost half of the attempts that he had rushing the passer on a true pass set, he won, which is, once again, a ludicrous number for him. So he comes in here at number 8. He's got some good athleticism to him. He's a little bit lighter. He's going to be probably more of your 3-4 outside linebacker. He's a little bit shorter. He's not like super short, but 6'3", 240. He's going to definitely be a guy that I would see playing that pass rushing linebacker in a 3-4 system. Definitely a 2-point stance kind of guy. Out of the gate, I think you're getting a really good pass rusher. I don't know if he'll be anything more than a DPR. I think that what he's done last year alone makes you excited. I'll get to some things that might kind of be a caveat on that. But you can see it in his game. He's got a really refined pass rush bag. He's got a outside speed move. He's got a counter spin. I've seen a swim move. So like he's refined his craft. He's got good explosiveness off the line, and he's just constantly keeping his eyes on the quarterback. Now, where I have some reservations about this are the fact that he had less than 200 pass rush snaps in 2024. So he was not the starter at Stanford, where he played his 2024 season. He was a rotational player. In that as well, Stanford, for whatever reason, thought of the 250 snaps he was on the field for a pass play, about 20% of them he should drop into coverage. And I know that when you run a 3-4, an odd man front, that outside linebacker has to be able to absorb some coverage responsibilities. But 20% out of a guy that's this good in pass rush, it just blows my mind. That's conversation for another pod for another time. But the point I'm trying to get at is a very small sample size. And so some of those numbers can become exaggerated, and you don't necessarily get maybe like a true look at what a player really is. So I think if he comes to Texas Tech and he puts up, doesn't have to be the 46.5 true pass rush win percentage. That would be insane. If he puts up a really good one, I think people are going to look at that and say, okay, we've now seen this in a system where he's getting more opportunities and where he's really being allowed to pin his ears back and go after it. You feel good about him there. Will he ever be a early down edge defender? I don't know. He definitely needs to improve his tackling. He's about 20% missed tackles, missed tackle rate last year, 17% in his career. I don't love that. I would like to see him clean that up, be kind of dedicated to his craft as a pass rusher, and be continuously building that and making his mark is what he does best. But I don't know if the size and the length that he'll ever be really a 3-down edge rusher. But definitely one that if you're looking for someone to come in on 3rd down and get after the quarterback, you're looking for someone to come in late game situations when you're up and just make it challenging for a team to pass the ball. David Bailey is a really, really nice option when it comes to that. And what he does well, he does very, very well. So David Bailey, now at Texas Tech, last year at Stanford, coming in at number 8. And then at number 7, we have a player that I think I've really kind of gravitated to. It hurts me actually to have him at 7, Gabe Jacas. He was a player that had his name buzzing around a little bit last year in the draft cycle, ultimately decided to come back to Illinois. His entire college career he spent there. He is coming back as a true senior, so his 4th year at Illinois. And with Jacas, he is another player that you're getting probably out of the gate, a designated pass rusher, but I really like the build from him and what he could bring as a run defender. So he's also 6'3", so the length isn't ideal per se. It's not awful, but it's definitely something where maybe you'd like him to be, 6'4", 6'5", heck, 6'6" even. But that 275, that's something where I think it shows up for him. I think his strength is definitely a step up from like a David Bailey, where he does show you kind of the build, the body type that you want to see out of a guy that you can maybe start to squeeze 3 downs out of. So Jackus is a really good athlete, as is going to be a trend for most of these guys. Explosive off the line, quick twitch. I've already talked that he comes in as a pretty good DPR. He's got a great pass rush profile already. Combines speed, strength, some really good footwork to bending it around the end. And then the production throughout his career has been phenomenal. If you look even going back to his freshman year, I want to say he had 3 sacks there, put in a good handful of snaps, and just kind of continue to get better and better as the seasons have gone on. For him, realistically, it's just right now where his run game is. You don't have a good floor for that, and you're probably bringing him in as a player that is a DPR to start with, and you kind of have to, get him up to speed with what you need. Now, it would be great to see him at Illinois this year, take that next step forward, and become a lot more well-rounded. I think that he has the athleticism, he has the strength. He just has to kind of dedicate himself to that, because that, unlike maybe some others, is definitely open to him. I also think that he needs to do more with his hands, and it's going to come into that, but both in pass rush, run defense, he just has to become a little bit more cognizant of that. What are you doing to keep yourself clean? Give yourself the opportunity to stack and shed blockers, to win with a little bit more of a technical approach, rather than necessarily just that speed around the edge or the strength to go through a player. Can you put a cross chop? Can you put a swim move into your arsenal and make it that much more challenging for a tackle to get hands on you and block you? But Gabe Jackus, definitely a player I think has the opportunity to really shine this year. I'd like to put him kind of as my dark horse, that guy that I think has everything going for him. He's got a wrestling background, which you love to see in the trenches, the athleticism that I talked about, the experience, and the build. So if he can put those things together this year at Illinois, I think he has the opportunity to move up into that top 5 of the edge rush group, and be a fun player to watch. So Gabe Jackus comes in at number 7. And then in at number 6 is a player in kind of a similar boat, Danny Dennis Sutton out of Penn State University. Another player whose name was batted around draft circles last year and ultimately decided to come back. With Danny Dennis Sutton, I think he to me is the ultimate case of a player that has just all the things you want them to have, especially like athletically, but just put it together on a consistent basis. I think that just to run through the strengths. So number 1, he comes in at 6'5", 266 pounds. I mean, almost built like you would want to see, especially if you're running, even man front. He can kick outside. He played a ton of snaps last year, 95% of them in the 7-tech or 9-tech role. So he's built to be a pass rusher. The athleticism I've already talked about, change of direction, short area quickness. It's all there. He's got a great Euro step when he's going in and kind of throwing that at an offensive tackle. He does have a quick counter step to get to the inside, and those things are really, really good to see. And that paired with some other footwork things, he does not have a false step off the line. He explodes right downhill, and it makes it challenging for those blockers to quickly get in front of him, and then even more so to stay in front of him when he does, put his foot in the ground and try to counter, put that Euro step down. And for him, like he showed up in the biggest moments. His best game was the game against Notre Dame. Like bar none, he absolutely showed up to go out there and win that game, and he played his heart out. The problem with Dennis Sutton for me is that wasn't all season long. There were some major lulls in the season, and he started off, fairly slow for a guy that's a 5-star recruit coming in now his junior year. He's got Abdul Carter on the other side, who is garnishing a ton of attention. And he just doesn't necessarily have that big impact right away. Now, obviously, Abdul Carter was not the top 3 player going into the season. He grew into that, and maybe more of that attention shifting to him helped Dennis Sutton out. So this year, what can he do without Abdul Carter? But I think ultimately he needs to be a little more consistent. He needs to continue to develop those skills in the pass rush. Your handwork is going to be a big thing for him. Swim moves, rip moves. Can you put a spin move in there? His footwork is really good, where if he can, start to use his hands in that game, he's going to be a really challenging player to stop in that pass rush. He needs to, once again, with his hands in the run game, do a better job of keeping blockers off of him. Great opportunities where he stacks and sheds. When he does use his hands well, he showed the strength to do so. He's just got to do it on a more consistent basis. And then, once again, for him, he has to just improve his run game. Kind of the story of all the guys on the back half of this list, they just have to be better run defenders. I think that Jacques and Dennis Sutton have the build to do so. They bring good mass and really a good overall size to the position to show up there. I think that, if he can do that and he can really show that I'm dangerous on 3 downs, I've taken a step forward as a pass rusher, that's awesome. Those are the things that you want to see him do. So Danny Dennis Sutton, another player that I have high expectations for. And senior season, I'd love to see you put it together and really, shine and go out with a bang in that Penn State system. It's national championship or bust for them. So let's see if he can continue to play big when the brights are shining. When the lights are shining the brightest. So it gets us to the top 5 edges. Once again, I say this every time. If you guys have been enjoying the summer scouting content, please subscribe to the channel, Weekly Huddle on YouTube. It is something that I know Owen has been doing a lot more with. He's had Bill Sparks on here, Sparks Scouting. Been doing some content, especially as we near, like I said earlier, the start of the college and professional football year. So subscribe, see that content that's coming forward. Like this video. If you have been enjoying the first half, please hit that like button. Drop a comment on here. Definitely love hearing from you guys. Where did I piss you off in my evaluation? What maybe do you think or do you agree with if that's the case? So with that, we'll go ahead and get into the top 5 edge rushers for this class. And yet again, another player that opted to return, and that is going to be LT Overton. And so LT Overton last year, I got a chance to look at him, and I didn't think a ton of him. He's okay, but this year, diving into him a little bit more, I really, really started to like Overton. So he's going to be the first guy that's a big change of pace. He's a stout run defender. I mean, an absolute dog in run defense. He had an 8.6 stop percentage, 19 stops, and really just kind of did it as, he was being asked to throughout that Alabama system. So he is a good athlete. He's definitely got plus athleticism. He does bring some things to the pass rush game, which I'll talk about in a second. But what he does, what his bread and butter is, right now is going to be that run defense. So I love kind of where he sets up as already the opportunity to be a 3-down edge rusher. I think he is a little bit of a leg up over a lot of other guys. I think that what gives him that opportunity to be a good run defender is he has really good use of his hands. That's also in pass rush too, which is great to see. He's got some good, rip swim moves that he can go to. But in the run game, he is refined too, where he's really good at stacking and shedding players. It shows that this guy, the couple years that he spent at Texas A&M and last year at Alabama. He's really taken advantage of really good coaching over those two systems to become a good player throughout that. Now, I think that he is a solid pass rusher, but I don't think he necessarily wows you as a pass rusher. I want to see a little bit more with that. I want to see him do a little bit more to convert pressures into sacks. For him last year, he had 39 pressures. Phenomenal number. He had 3 sacks. That's the thing right now that's kind of holding me back on LT Overton as this like complete 3-down player. And I think, if he just continues to do what he does in pass rush and finds a way to get above, right now he's at like 6% for his pressure to sack conversion rate. If he can find a way to get to 15, 20%, Denny Dennis-Sutton, 9 sacks over 45 pressures, that's 20%. Gabe Jacques, 8 sacks over 44 pressures, that is right around 15, 18%. So like those are good numbers to be at. And they're not even necessarily like freaky numbers. 3 sacks and 39 pressures, you got to do a little bit more with that. The 39 pressures are great to see. 27.6 win percentage on true pass sets. Like I said, that's a great number to be at, but it's just got to finish it off. Do the things that you need to do. Refine your craft a little bit more. Put a little more functional play strength. I think that one thing he lacks is really a power rush. His weight's 90th percentile, but he just doesn't seem to play like it. So if he can do some of those things, add some strength to his game, utilize that in his pass rush, and just continue to stay a good run defender, there's no reason he can't be a top 3 edge player in this class, just because of the well-rounded nature to his game. So LT Overton comes in here at number 5 out of Alabama, coming back for his true senior year. And then we have a junior, so kind of finally a fresh face. I think after Uigalele, it's been returning player. So next we have Kendrick Falk out of Auburn, and this is going to be a player that I can guarantee will have a ton of draft buzz from a lot of other sites going in. I know that with Falk, he is probably one of the highest rated edge rushers consensus wise going into here, and rightfully so. I have him as a number 4 player. So with Falk, 6'6", 288 pounds. Just you can't do anything to change what you're given. And was Keldrick Falk given a ton to work with? I just realized I have his name spelled wrong up there. Keldrick Falk, not Kendrick Falk. I apologize for that. But man, he's got a lot right off the bat to work with. So great frame, makes him really scheme versatile. He played a ton of snaps kind of at that 4-eye, and he could easily kick out to the defensive end, and he played a ton of snaps as a 2-point edge rusher. So very scheme versatile in terms of where he could be plugged in. I think of a lot of these players, they have maybe an issue with like tackling and wrapping up and keeping that number low. Falk does not. He was 8% missed tackle percentage last year. I want to say that he was like 7.5 the year before. Really, really good tackler, reliable in the backfield. And when you can get in early and stop those runs before they even get positive gains, you're doing a ton to help your team out. I think that comes into strong hands. They're able to wrap up. You can see it when he is going at blockers. He gets a really good pop right away. And that also comes into his ability to have a nice pass rush push. So he's able to break the anchor of a blocker, get a decent push pull, get hands on them to kind of redirect and find whether he wants an inside counter, He wants to go with the swim move. He's got the strength to kind of dictate that, and good athleticism at that side too to be able to do that. Now, where he comes in right now, where why is he sitting here at number 4 if he has all these things here? His win percentage is not where it needs to be. 12.7% for a win percentage on true pass sets is it's just not what you need out of a top 3 edge rusher. You have to be better than that when you're facing what is going to be looks in a pro style system. Now, he had 45 pressures last year, 9 sacks, 20% sack to pressure conversion. You'll love to see that. But with that, he's got to be better about doing more than taking his size and that speed and those strong hands. He has to be more technical with his hand placement, because even though he's got strong hands, it can be wild at times. He has to, utilize his game. He's not the bendiest athlete. So can you work inside counters? Can you put a one arm in there? What can you do to really maximize your game? So ultimately, I think that he has decent athleticism. He's got amazing size, and he's got another player with a high run floor. And he's got the tools for a good pass rush player or pass rush edge defender. He just has to put it again. Take those strong hands, start building it into those moves that are really going to make you challenging to deal with. So Keldrick Falk, apologies once again, not Kendrick Falk, Keldrick Falk out of the University of Auburn. And so we get into top 3. Number 3 is probably going to be, I said Gabe Jacques already as like maybe a little bit of a dark horse. Number 3, if I'm going to put a stamp on anyone as my guy, and I'm sorry, Bill Sparks, if you're listening to this, I stole him from you, but I have him ranked higher than you, so suck it. Max Llewellyn out of the University of Iowa. If you've seen any of these, I love Iowa players. I hate that I love Iowa players being from Wisconsin. It eats me up, but God, does Iowa have some good football players about them. So Max Llewellyn, 6'5", 263, just a stellar build. The athleticism is evident. Right away, you can see it when you turn the tape on. I want to say the first game I watched for him was against Northwestern. I want to see some reps against Caleb Tiernan. Unfortunately, he usually played against the right tackle. But he had a win off the first rep. He got a safety on the second rep, and then he hit just a filthy spin move, which I'll talk about a little bit more. So his athleticism is extremely evident. The burst off the line, he's a tough player. He plays like every down is going to be the last opportunity he has to spend in the field. Because, once again, in that Iowa system, it kind of was for him. He was an underclassman. He was a redshirt junior, and he was not the starter, which for the life of me, I cannot understand why with how well this guy played last year. But, man, he just bring everything that you wanted. His pass rush game, if you were to put that with, Falker or Overton, you mash either of those players together, that's the best player in the class, easily. Easily the best. I'm not talking best player in the edge group. I'm playing the best player in the class because Max Llewellyn's pass rush game is that good. He's got stellar speed to power, a nice swim chop, cross chop, and like I said, an absolutely deadly spin move to the inside that he's not afraid to use. It's so much fun watching him out there. Now, for him, he's another guy that, right now, a little bit more of a DPR. He's okay in run defense. So, he's not a liability out there. He's okay. He's definitely not where, the other two are. But I'd like to see it, improve a little bit more. I think that can help because of, the lack of playing time. He had, which really sucks for him, but he had, I want to say, like 200 pass rush snaps last year, kind of very similar boat to David Bailey, and it really never allowed him to develop. I'm reading right here. He's less than 500 career snaps, and he's coming in now as a redshirt senior. So definitely something where I'm excited to see him out there. I think that he was the funnest pass rusher that I watched throughout all of these guys. And if he can continue to, be such a dominant pass rusher, he does not have to get better. He just has to, over a larger sample size, show that he can continue with that, improve a little bit on his run game. I honest to God don't see any reason why this guy shouldn't be a top 3 edge rusher on every single scouts board, because he's just that good in all of the things that he brings to the game besides that. So Max Llewellyn, Iowa, comes in at number 3 for me. Stamp it officially a my guy. Yet again, another Iowa player as a my guy. Trust me, it hurts inside, but these are some really, really good football players. So we get into the top 2. I don't think that these players are going to blow anyone's mind. They come in really a tier above everyone else. And that's going to be Ruben Bain Jr. out of Miami, coming in at number 2. Ruben Bain Jr. from the get-go has been everything that you'd want. 4-star recruit. He was an Under Armour All-American in high school, freshman All-American his first year. He was third-team All-ACC and the ACC Defensive Rookie of the Year. 2024, he had a soft tissue injury. Maybe held him back a little bit, but he still had a really good year last year, put up great numbers as far as PFF is concerned, had a 22.6% pass rush win rate on true pass sets, and, kind of over a smaller sample size. I want to say he played like 7 games, something to that effect, still had 28 pressures. So you really, really like to see it. And with Ruben Bain, the reason that he shows out, he's not the longest guy, he's 6'3", but he's 275 pounds, which, when you see that compact build, and then just how incredibly twitched up of an athlete he is, you can tell right away on tape that he's something special. His pass rush moves are stellar. He's got really good handwork, good rip and swim moves, and he's able to rush with both speed and power. He's phenomenal when it comes to that snap to whistle mentality. He will pursue sideline to sideline, and just finishing the play, every play mentality is extremely evident. And then he's another player that on run defense, you don't have to worry about this guy. He's got the chops that you want to see on pass rush. Obviously, some things that he can improve upon. His pass rush win percentage is good. It's not like great, but he's got the tools there to be able to do that. But he gives you what you want to see in run defense. So, why is he here? Why is he not number 1? Tackle technique's got to improve for him. Over 20% career missed tackle percentage. Awful. You got to clean that up. He's got to develop a counter move. Like I said, he's got some really good moves, speed and power, but he has to add that third element in there. You have to have speed, power, and then a counter to keep those blockers in kind of panic mode all the time. It makes you that much more well-rounded as an edge rusher. I already mentioned the length concerns. And then there were just a couple times where, and it was specifically Georgia Tech of all games, he just looked extremely fooled by misdirection. Like, almost like he had no idea where the ball was. It was kind of wild to see. He'd play a fair amount in like the 4-eye over the tackle as a 5 or as I guess a 6 tech. So he'd kind of play a little bit more between the tackles, and there's just a good handful of times where there might be a counter or there might be like a pulling play or something like that, and he just cannot find the ball carrier. So I'd like to see that a little bit better. But like I said, all the physical tools are there. If he can stay healthy this year, that's always going to be a big thing to help him out. But just a player that the athleticism, the mass, and the high run floor is going to make you excited about him putting together that third season in the University of Miami and being able to showcase what he can be as a premier edge rusher for that system. And so that leaves us with probably no one's surprise, TJ Parker. Yet again, Clemson taking the crown at the top again for this time the edge group. TJ Parker, he's everything you want. I'm gonna say right now he's not Abdul Carter from last year. It's tough to be Abdul Carter. It's tough to be that freaky of an athlete. TJ Parker's a good athlete. He understands, what he can do. He's not maybe the quickest player out there, but short area, he is really, really solid, which is what you want to see out of your edge rusher. He's got excellent lateral agility, so that side to side is, makes him very, very deadly in there when you're especially trying to stunt, when you are putting on that Euro step, whatever that may be. So all of those things, that short area quickness, the athleticism, the length that comes in for him. Once again, 6'3", 265. It's okay, but he seems to be able to manage it really well. I think that he's got a little bit longer arms than maybe that 6'3" frame would suggest. But he's, kind of all of those things. The plus, like a very high motor, just turn him into what is a premier pass rusher. Last year, he had 51 total pressures. He had 12 sacks. Like, that's damn near 25% sack to pressure ratio. He had 26.2% win percentage on true pass sets. He's giving you everything you want and more from a pass rushing edge defender. And then on top of that, he had 19 stops in the run game. He had 7.7 stop percentage, average depth of tackle 1.2 yards. Like, he's solid there. Like, he's just the most well-rounded player. He is the closest thing to NFL ready in this, and he's only a true junior. I think that, that kind of plays a lot into it, where you have this player here, and I don't want to say that, he's, what you see is what you get, because I really don't think it is. You're a 4-star recruit. You've come in right away, and you've been just a monster. He was a freshman All-American in 2023. 2024, he was second-team All-ACC, and he's just kind of continued to get better and better in there. So I am excited for TJ Parker, because I think he already is NFL ready based on last year's film. And now this year, I think he's just going to be that much better. And I think you're going to have a top 5 player on the board when it's all said and done with TJ Parker. If he can just continue, he doesn't even have to, have that exponential growth, just linear growth, or, that expected growth from year 2 to 3. This is a no nonsense player, in my opinion. Someone that the floor is high and the ceiling is just as high. So, excited to see what TJ Parker does this year with Clemson. Him and Peter Woods. The rest of that Clemson football team is going to be must-see TV for sure. So that wraps up my top 10 edge rushers. Kind of working from start to back. I'll recap them. TJ Parker, Ruben Bain Jr., Max Llewellyn, Keldrick Falk, LT Overton, Danny Dennis Sutton. I'm going to do that so many times. Danny Dennis Sutton, number 6. Gabe Jackas, 7. Bailey, 8. Mikhail Kamara, 9. And then Mateo Uigalele at number 10. That's it. If you guys are here now, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Please drop a comment. What did you think of the breakdown, especially if you have takes on them? Who's not in my top 10 that absolutely should have been? Who's not in my top 5 that absolutely should have been? Why should Max Llewellyn not have been in my top 3? Because I'll fight that fight all day long. Love hearing from you guys. If you guys have thoughts, please be sure to shout them out in the comments section. But for right now, that's going to wrap us up for this episode of the Weekly Huddle. As always, appreciate you guys hanging out with us. If you guys are looking to keep up with the show and you haven't hit, or you did hit that subscribe button, you want to go back and see other episodes, search Weekly Huddle on YouTube. You can see all of the past summer scouting that I have done. You can see some of the mock draft that Owen and Bill Sparks have done, Owen's season prediction, and then he's got a couple player breakdowns that are in there as well. So search Weekly Huddle on YouTube. You can also follow Weekly Huddle at Weekly Huddle, as you can see in the upper. I always have to, it's mirrored in the upper left corner, at Weekly Huddle on Twitter, or the app formerly known as Twitter. And then you can follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter over there at NFL Draft _Weston. I'm constantly giving up my takes, my scouting notes between episodes, talking about who I like, what I see, and really just trying to get a feel for where other people are at on these guys. It's been fun. Catch you guys next time.